Hi, and welcome to the Frog Pond School of Design, where we like to talk about things and tell stories that kind of appeal to the architect in all of us. I want to talk today about an architect that you may not have heard of. I hadn't until recently. His name is Francis Greenway. He was born in England and became an architect of some note in the Bristol and Bath areas of England. But hey, he was an architect, so eventually he ended up bankrupt and resorted to forging, I think the term was, some financial documents, and was convicted of this in 1812. Actually, he was sentenced to death for this forgery, which seems kind of rough to us, but that's the way things were going in England at the time. And his sentence was then commuted to what they called transportation. To them, transportation means we're going to take you someplace else. And of course, back then, their someplace else was Australia. We all know that England used Australia as a dumping ground for their convicts. And Francis Greenway was put on a ship and sent to Australia. A lot of people believe that the sentence of transportation was probably worse than the sentence of death because the trip over was so miserable. It took 6 or 8 months. The prisoners were never allowed up on deck to move around, to get any sunlight or anything. They were fed almost nothing. Many of them didn't survive the trip, but Francis Greenway did. And when he got to Australia, he came to the attention of the governor, who just happened to be in great need of an architect at the time. So suddenly, Francis Greenway, the criminal, became the government architect in Australia, and he designed quite a few notable buildings over there, many of which still stand today, and became known well enough that eventually he had his image put on one of the Australian banknotes. Undoubtedly the only convicted forger ever to have this distinction. So he had a career as an architect over there. However, he had a bit of a dark side. He apparently was a rather abrasive personality, and he didn't take criticism well. He didn't take suggestions about his designs well at all, and could be difficult to work with. At some point, he was accused of charging exorbitant fees, even though he was, on a retainer with the government or whatever. So he lost his job. Didn't have a great deal of success building a private practice, and ended up bankrupt again. So thus is the life of an architect, I guess, especially in the wilds of Australia. So Australia's first architect got there on a convict ship. Hey, thanks for joining us today on the Frog Pond School of Design. I look forward to seeing you hanging around the pond again real soon.